The new Chicago Bulls era is officially underway for whatever that's worth for the rest of this season. And I'm not going to lie. There are some things, a lot of things that I've seen with this new team that I actually like. Jaden Ivey is showing the flash of the potential of getting back to the scorer he was at some point. Anfernee Simons is doing what he does best, and that's score the basketball. And Yabusele may low-key be the steal of the trade deadline for the Chicago Bulls. But here's the real question. Can we actually trust Arturas Karnisovas to see a plan through? That's where I have a little bit of concern now. We're going to break down the new Bulls through their first couple of games and who stood out, my concerns, the prevailing thought, and we're going to preview today's game against the Brooklyn Nets. All that and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. I want to start off today's episode with talking about the new Chicago Bulls and how they've looked so far. Now, it's only been 1 or 2 games for some of these guys. Some have played 2. Some have only played 1. So it's not a large sample size. We only got 2 games left before the All-Star break. So could I have waited till the next 2 games to do this episode? Yeah, but listen, we're going to check in now because I want to check in now. It's on my spirit to talk about it, right? So I want to talk about these players and kind of my thought, not only with how these players have performed on the basketball court so far, but like some things that could happen in the future for them and some kind of check-ins on what I want to see from them, going forward. We'll get deeper into that as things go on for sure, but I want to start off with this one. We're going to start off with Jaden Ivey, who was one of the players that I was the most excited about getting to this team because of the potential that he has, and I still see that potential in Jaden Ivey, that potential to be that scorer, that on-ball scorer that he looked like he was before he went down with injury for the Detroit Pistons. He was having the best year of his career, and keep in mind, it's not like he took a huge leap in score per game, but it was the refinement of it. He definitely helped that Detroit Pistons team last season, at the start over that first almost half of the season, about 30-ish games he played last year for the Detroit Pistons, 33 games he played last year for the Detroit Pistons. I'm sorry, 30. It was 30. 33 this season that he played for the Detroit Pistons, where he averaged 17.6 points per game. He did that on 46% shooting from the field and 40% shooting from 3 with 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal per game. Now, we haven't quite seen that production from Jaden Ivey so far, but what we have seen from Ivey is 11.5 points per game over 2 games. He's played 31 minutes per game as well, which is almost double what he was averaging for the Detroit Pistons this season. He was averaging 16.8 minutes per game. He's at 31.5, so almost double the amount of minutes. He's shooting the ball 42% from the field, 50% from 3. He's taking 5 3-pointers per game, which would be the second most of his NBA career if it was for a whole season. It's not going to be, right? And he's also averaging 5 rebounds, 4.5 assists per game, and 2.5 steals per game as well. Now, that's not to say that it all has been good. We've seen Jaden Ivey do make some mistakes turnover-wise, right? Like that's been a thing there. He is averaging 2.5 turnovers per game. So he's averaging the same turnovers as steals that he's averaging, but the assist to turnover ratio is still almost 2-to-1, which is really good. But that's what Jaden Ivey's doing, and you're still seeing the potential that he has of being that on-ball scorer. You see there are clearly times in these 2 games so far where he has the step on a player, and that Jaden Ivey before the injury would have absolutely taken that step, accelerated, gotten to the rim, and maybe even gotten to the free throw line, and we don't really see that with Jaden Ivey. This is a Jaden Ivey that's being a little bit more conscious of it, a little bit more safe with that knee. I think part of that is shying away from contact. If you look at it, before the injury, right? He was averaging over 4 free throws per game. Since his injury, he's only averaging a little over 1 free throw per game. And I think that's a big thing that stands out in regards to how hesitant he's being at times with some contact with the knee. I'm not judging him for it. I understand when you come back, you had the broken patella fibula is what he had, and then you have to have another follow-up knee surgery. So the 2 surgeries on the same leg, that's going to be concerning for anyone. That's going to be mentally in anyone, especially high impact athletes. And so I'm not judging him for it. I'm not sitting here calling him out for it. But I do think that that's something that he's going to have to get over by plays and reps. And I do love that he's playing more minutes here, because the more minutes that you play, the more safe you feel in trusting that leg. Now, he's going to have to go through a whole offseason and really do more rehab before you trust that leg permanently. But I do think we've seen some of the flashes there, right? He's shooting 42% from the field, 50% from three for the Bulls this season. And so if you can get that and get that Jaden Ivey that feels comfortable being aggressive again, I think that we have a pretty good score. Now, can he be a better fit next to Josh Giddey than Kobe White was? That remains to be seen, because one thing about Jaden Ivey is that he is a more on-ball dominant player. With that said, I also think this, though. Last season, he was growing as a catch-and-shoot player. He was over 40% on catch-and-shoot threes. So if he gets back into that mindset, gets back acclimated, trusts that leg, there's a good reason to believe that he can get back to that as well, and that would make him a more natural fit with Josh Giddey. So Jaden Ivey, it's still more potential than realization here, but I do like that he's being more aggressive. He's getting more minutes, because I think those more minutes here are going to help him get over that hump in the offseason. Next up, Anfernee Simons. Now, Anfernee Simons is just, and I don't mean this to be negative, he's just being him. And that's the point of being a veteran and a high-level scorer throughout the majority of his career. He's just getting back to what he does really good. He's averaging 18 points per game over 2 games, 3 rebounds, 4.5 assists through the first 2 games with the Chicago Bulls. And he's basically been exactly what the Bulls were hoping to get him. He's a scorer that is scoring the ball really well. He's not hesitating out there. He knows exactly where and how he wants to get to places. And it's good to see him averaging 18 points per game, because with the Boston Celtics, he was averaging only 11 shots per game, which was basically the least amount of his career since he became an NBA starter initially. With the Bulls, he's averaging 15 shots. He was only getting a little over 11 with the Boston Celtics, so those extra shots are really good for him. He's shooting the ball 31% from 3, which is the same as his career averages as well. He's averaging those things. So he's really close to being just exactly what we expect him to be. And that's when Anfernee Simons isn't coming back from injury. He's not coming back from a long hiatus or anything like that. The only thing for Anfernee Simons is he's going from a bench role with the Celtics to a starting role with the Chicago Bulls, at least so far. Once Josh Giddey and Trey Jones are back, we'll see who starts between Jaden Ivey and Anfernee Simons. But yeah, Anfernee Simons has been him. And the question about Anfernee Simons isn't really about, if he can play. We know Anfernee Simons can score. The question when it comes down to Anfernee Simons is he going to want to stay with the Chicago Bulls? That's the biggest question there. He is a legit scoring weapon. He's a threat to put up 20 points per game on any given night. But is he going to want to stay with the Bulls? Will he opt to stay with Chicago, depending on what they offer him, or we actually pursue a winning situation? I always like to, you guys know, one of the things I always say is I like to hold players accountable to what they say. I also like to listen to what players say. And he was somebody who adamantly talked about how good it felt being on a winning team with the Boston Celtics after doing so much losing in his career. Now, he was on a team competing, one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, to now being for the Chicago Bulls that are outside the play-in. That's a pretty large jump, right? So if the Bulls do want to keep Anfernee Simons long-term, they're going to really have to sell him on what their long-term vision is, I feel. I don't think it's going to be just money that's going to get him to stay here, even if they offer him the most of what he can, which he's not going to get his max. I just don't think that. But even if they did offer that, it's about really selling him on what the vision is for the Chicago Bulls, his role here as well. And so that's where it comes down to. Now, do I think that we keep both Jaden Ivey and Anfernee Simons? We'll see how the season goes on. I don't think there's any way we keep Jaden Ivey, Anfernee Simons, and Colin Sexton while keeping Trey Jones. But hey, we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, there's only so much that can go around, and we'll see how the Bulls distribute that out. But Anfernee Simons has been legit. The next player, Gershon Yabusele, has probably been the absolute steal of the trade deadline for the Chicago Bulls so far. Jaden Ivey has a great chance of being that long term when you look at the fact that we gave up Kevin Huerter for him, if he can get back to his long-term thing. But we gave up Dalen Terry, who turned around and got waived and cut, for Guerschon Yabusele. And what he's been for the Chicago Bulls team, I can tell you right now, I don't understand how he was not getting off the bench, getting into the rotation consistently for a New York Knicks team that actually wants, they need defense. The Knicks are missing defense. But hey, their overlooking is a benefit for us, because I tell you what, Guerschon has been tremendous for the Chicago Bulls through 2 games. You're talking about a player that was averaging 2.7 points in only 8.9 minutes for the New York Knicks over 41 games. He's averaged 29.5 minutes through 2 games for the Chicago Bulls. He started one of those games, and he's averaging 13 points, 6 rebounds, 1.5 assists, one block, 1.5 steals per game. He's shooting the ball 43% from three-point range and 41% from the field, but he's taking a lot of threes. 8 of his shots per game are threes. He's only taking 12 shots per game, so take that for what you will. But Gershon, the defense as well. I can't give you a stat for defense. I want more time to see what the on-off numbers are. They're all really weird for the Chicago Bulls right now, right? But Gershon has been a revelation for the Chicago Bulls and at only 6'7", being able to play center and actually guard centers pretty well, having that athleticism from a big man position, even though I know people are going to say he's not a big man, Haize, but from the big man position, right? Because he's playing the position of a big man. He's giving the Bulls a lot, man, and I'm glad to have him here in the rotation. The question really wanted for Gershon, who already eliminated his player option next year and amended his contract. The question now becomes, is he going to go back overseas, or does he, with the Bulls actually giving him an opportunity here, does he look at it and say, hey, I may have something here in Chicago? Now, we'll see if the Bulls even want to keep him, depending on how much change and how much they plan on addressing the big man rotation this offseason. But for what it's worth, Gershon Yabusele has been really good, and that three-point shot is legit. I didn't realize before him coming to the Chicago Bulls that he was a career 36% three-point shooter. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Now, keep in mind, he played in the NBA from 2017 to 2019. He left, and then he came back in 2024, so he left for a long time. He was one of those guys that had to go away, go overseas, and then come back, but really good player there, and I love seeing what we got from him. Nick Richards. Now, we're getting to the players that have only played one game. Nick Richards, through one game, 15 points, 7 rebounds, a steal, and a block. And all I can say for Nick Richards, I don't want to overestimate the analysis there just because it is only one game, but it's good to have athleticism and toughness back at the center position. This is a guy that has caught lobs. He's played some solid defense on Jokic, and I know Jokic cooked us for a triple-double in that game, but if you got to go look at those possessions where Nick Richards was guarding Jokic, he actually did pretty good on some possessions. It's Jokic. He's going to get his numbers regardless, but he did a pretty good job at times for the Chicago Bulls in defense. And so Jokic, he's an MVP. I can't wait to see Nick Richards guard some of the other kind of regular centers around the league. And with us playing Boston before the trade deadline, I can't wait to see Nick Richards guarding Nikola Vucevic, because I know a lot of Bulls fans are going to want that revenge, right? They're going to look at it as that revenge. But Nick Richards has been perfectly fine for the Bulls. I don't think we've had the mobility that we're getting from Nick Richards since Andre Drummond. Now, I think Andre Drummond is more mobile than Nick Richards, but I'm just saying since we let go of Andre Drummond, we haven't really had that mobility from the big man position. And before Drum, we hadn't had it since Daniel Gafford was traded away. So, that type of thing is missed by the Bulls, and it's evident that it stands out that we were missing that, and now we're getting that back from him. And I love to see that in that case. I love seeing what we're getting from Nick Richards. It's great to see that. And I like I said, love to see. I love the game that he plays. I love the fact that he's just a big man that just will go out there and do his job, right? I'm not trying to say he needs to be a long-term starter. I'm not saying that he even needs to be a starter for this team. But seeing him play the minutes that he's playing the style that he's playing, it really makes me even more excited about us getting a long-term, more defensive-minded, tough big that can give those minutes for the Chicago Bulls. Because, listen, you get a young guy that's tough like that, and Nick Richards with being 6'11", 245 pounds, you bring in that type of guy, I think we're seeing. This is without even Josh Giddey there to throw lobs. You're seeing the impact that size has on a team like the Chicago Bulls that lacks good perimeter defense, because even with these new pieces, we're still lacking perimeter defense, and he's given some really good minutes there for the Bulls, and I love seeing that. Last player on the list, and this is the player that I was the most harsh on, and I'm going to continue to judge harshly. I'm going to be honest with you, but I was skeptical against Rob Dillingham, and while I'm not completely bought in on him yet, I won't lie and say there weren't some things that I saw in the one game that he played that I looked at and said, okay, okay. I will back down here for a second, and I'm just going to see what he's given, especially while he is going to be getting minutes while Josh Giddey and Trey Jones are out. Now, once those two guys come back, I don't know where he's going to fall in the rotation at, but I hope he makes the most of this time. The thing that I've seen from him, the one game, statistically, it wasn't crazy. But what I did see from him is a recognition, that's a way to say it, recognition of, hey, I can get this ball to my big. And as a point guard, that's a good thing. You got to keep in mind, Rob Dillingham has been a scorer in every step of the imagination. In college, he was a 47% shooter from the field and 44% shooter from three. He's not shot the ball anything near that at the NBA level, and I don't know if he will, but he wasn't like this huge passer at the college level either. I said it on the last game on the post-game show. If Rob Dillingham adjusts in the NBA and realizes, hey, I can hit shots, but the thing that I need to do first because of my size is set up the other players around me. And then as the defense collapses, I'm going to either take them off the drive or go ahead and shoot the ball. That's a really good thing for him. He averaged 3.9 assists per game in college, but 2 turnovers per game. That assist to turnover ratio isn't good, right? So that's why I don't see him as being ever like a high level passer like Trey Jones or Josh Giddey. But he showed some flashes of maybe being able to do that in his one game for the Chicago Bulls. Now, I also saw some times where it's clear, and I'll give you guys the credit that said, hey, maybe it's just confidence, because it's clear he doesn't have confidence. There were times in that game that he played against where he had a full step on the defender, but he didn't take it to the paint. He stopped, surveyed, and the defense then caught on him, and while he could have had an open floater or went to the rim and got to the free throw line, he didn't do that, and he hesitated and gave the defense a time to adjust, and then his big moved, and he caught them on lobs or passes sometimes. So there's some things there, and I think that naturally he's going to have to become more of a passer at the NBA level to really gain the most out of his skill set, and then his ability to shoot, because he doesn't have the quickest trigger in the NBA. You can get away with kind of slower triggers in college. So if people have to play him for the passing lanes because they know he can get his teammates open or throw them lobs, I think that it could open some more shot opportunities for him. So I'm still not totally sold on Rob Dillingham, but I am saying that I'm taking more of a natural wait and see approach to Rob Dillingham. What he gives is what he gives, and we'll see how that evolves for him. Like I wish well for the kid. Like I don't want Rob Dillingham to be bad. I want to be clear here. I don't think he's going to be great, but I don't want him to be bad either. I want him to excel. I want him to succeed. I want him. He's wearing a Chicago Bulls uniform. I want him to turn into whatever the best version of himself is in this Bulls uniform, because that's what we need. We need an influx of talent. We need talent that hits where you may not expect it to. And if Rob Dillingham turns into a hit, whether he's a backup point guard in the future or whatever it is, that does nothing but help this team. So Dillingham showed some, like I said, statistically not crazy, but if you watch the game, he did some things that showed a little bit of promise, and I won't turn a blind eye to the promise that he showed. So all that said, that's the players, right? And the players, they're playing. The thing that I have, the question is there any reason to have faith in AK's plan? And I think that really depends on how you view the moves that he's made over the last 2 seasons, since basically the Josh Giddey trade till now. And so I see where the plan is, right? I see where the plan is. Adding flexibility, clearing the deck, the financial flexibility, the extra draft picks, all that type of stuff. I see where the plan is and how it could go. The place that I have a question part is AK's ability to execute that plan. That's where my question is. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of faith in AK. I'm not pessimistic. I'm definitely not optimistic. I'm in a place of hope. I hope that this works out, because if this works out for the Chicago Bulls, we can hopefully get the team that we deserve as Chicago Bulls fans. But he has to show and prove it. And that's where I am with AK. That's where I am with these players. If they show and prove it, it actually looks like we're finally on a path where we're moving forward as a franchise, then I'm going to be all in on it. But you have to show and prove it. If you do that, let's get it done. That's all I can say on that one. Let's hope that this all works out. That's where I'm at. I'm at a place of hope. I don't have faith in AK. I'm not going to come in and say AK is just going to fuck it all up. I'm not going to say that either. I don't trust AK, but I'm going to have hope. You've given yourself, like I've said, flexibility. You've given yourself leverage. You've given yourself these things. Now it's your job to go out and use them correctly. Will they? We'll see. The Bulls do have a game today against the Brooklyn Nets as well. This team could Josh Giddey and Trey Jones have both been upgraded for the Chicago Bulls in this game. They've been upgraded to doubtful. This came from KC Johnson. So it's still more doubtful, of course, with that being the label that they'll play, but it's good that they're being upgraded. Only one game left before the trade deadline. If they don't play today, I doubt they play at all before the trade deadline. We may just see both those guys after the trade deadline, so that way the Bulls can get some practices in, right? And that way they can incorporate these new guys, and we can maybe see an actual system and scheme for these teams. So we'll see what happens with that one. Overall, I'll say this. In this game, because the Bulls have not played a lot together, and this is basically a brand new makeshift team, all I can say is play hard. That's it. Play hard. Come out here. Give effort on both sides of the ball. Play together. Keep learning each other a little bit more. I want to see Modest, Jaden Ivey, Anfernee Simons, Nick Richards. I want to see all these guys go off, and we'll see what we got. Let's get into one voicemail that we got for today, man. This one voicemail, this one's from Donovan.
What's going on, Haize? What's going on, team? It's your boy Donovan, man. I'm usually on this for the Bears and stuff like that, and I wish I was, you know what I'm saying, because the Bears actually have something admirable, you know. Like, it's actually something that you can look forward to. It's actually something you can respect. They make a move and you get happy about it. I'm sitting there waiting at the trade deadline for a bunch of nothing. A bunch of fucking nothing. Even when we traded fucking Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and fucking Lonzo Ball for fucking shit on sticks, I was still trying to make light of shit like that. I call myself trying to make light of these dumbass trades we just made. Guards for guards. Some old, we got a lot of players that are inspired contracts trying to give ourselves flexible. Like, shut up, bro. You have no plan. You have no plan. And this is why I've avoided the Bulls for as long as I have, because I will not choose this suffering. You have no plan. You have no plan. And one press conference is all I needed to hear. All I needed to witness was one press conference. And it told me everything you need to know. You contradict yourself. You don't know what you're doing. You continuously rob these fucking franchises. And these franchises are fucking dumb enough to fucking give you money. There's no way you sit there with a straight fucking face, trade all your fucking assets that are tradable, because you don't want to trade picks, because all of a sudden draft picks are valuable now after you done threw them all the fucking way. You don't want to trade any picks. So you're trying to weasel some first out of a bunch of players that you should have traded before. I remember it was a point in time where Zach LaVine could have wanted you 3 firsts when he was going off that first year. You're like, no, why would I give Zach up now? Look where we at. It's not about who the player is. It's about what the team looked like. Everybody and their mother knew that team wasn't going to do shit. We always start off great because no one is ready for the same old Bulls. It's the same Bulls every time. So we've played with each other. All these other teams that have made moves and that have improved, or whatever the case may be, they're not ready to play yet. So we always start 11-0, 6-0, whatever the fuck it was. And then what? Right back to fucking reality. Everybody like, all right, we do this, this, and this, because they're still the Bulls. They're still not big enough. They're still not strong enough. They're still not sound enough. They got to play all fast because they don't have the fucking experience to play fucking half-court basketball like they haven't been in the league for 6+ fucking years. We got players like that on our team. We got coaches like that saying, yeah, they're too young to nigga, then play them in the half court. I'm not understanding what you're talking about. Y'all don't want to tank so damn bad that you risk development.
Okay, well, draft picks are always been valuable. And I, for one, will say this. I actually will give credit to AK for valuing the draft picks after the Vooch trade. And now you got to draft better with them, right? But I'm glad that AK isn't just giving away first-round picks. It seems like AK may have had some other deals earlier if he was willing to give up a first-round pick in them, and I'm glad that he hasn't been doing that, because hold on to your own picks. Value that, because you gave up a lot in the Vooch trade and it ended up biting you in your ass. So I'm glad that he's doing that. But I do agree with you. Development has to take a major priority here in Chicago. It should have always been prioritized a little bit more than what it was, but it definitely has to take a priority. You have so many of these young pieces that you're hoping to fit together regardless of whatever you do. You got Modest, you got Noah, you got Rob Dillingham in here now, you got Jaden Ivey, you got Josh Giddey, right? Like, these are people that I think are guaranteed to be on the roster next year. Anfernee Simons, Colin Sexton, they don't have to do as much development. You kind of know who they are, right? But I hope that this team continues to take proper steps in the right direction, and they do prioritize developing these pieces so we can really see what we have in them. But I will say this, to develop them, you have to have an actual team around them that actually makes sense and fits together well, and that's where AK is falling short at. So hopefully we can get that. And we'll see. Like I said, this season is really, for me, personally, just about evaluation. I don't expect the Bulls to win a lot of games over the last 29 games, but we'll see. And we'll see then what AK does in the offseason, and hopefully we come back with a little bit more faith at the start of this season for the Bulls, but they have to earn that faith because it definitely ain't just going to be given to them. And I'll leave that where it is. But at the end of the day, I'm in evaluation mode, and it seems like the Bulls are also in evaluation mode. The flashes are there. The talent has some intrigue around it, but the flexibility is real. Now it's about the execution that we have. Can AK build something sustainable? Can Billy Donovan actually develop the young talent? Can this group form an identity here at some point over the last stretch of games? We're about to find all that out. Drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys are following us at Bull Central Pod. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.